Welcome to the exciting and new podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
I'm Dana.
Woo! Cannonball.
Ball.
Cannonball.
Ball. I think the song actually starts off.
I know.
Ball.
I messed up.
That was my first note of this movie because I was like, is this guy? It's Ray Stevens, too. I was like, I love Ray Stevens, but.
Cannonball Run, in case you haven't figured it out. Dana picked this movie.
I did. It's my own fault.
I was going to say, I'd like to know if it was against your will or.
No.
Did we bully you
she
into
said
this?
she wanted to choose a movie that she hadn't seen, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you never saw Cannonball Run?
No.
She's young. This is not her growing up stuff.
Yeah, I
like
couldn't
us.
get Brady to watch it, and I couldn't get anyone else to watch it.
I think
Like, did you tell them what it was about? And they were like, I had no interest?
Yeah. I mean, Christine came running. Like, Christine wanted to watch
Yeah,
it.
Michelle wanted too. I think the
That's
problem
fun.
is that if this wasn't when you were growing up, it doesn't translate to
Yeah.
today.
Well, she just missed it then because she was right on the cusp, right?
Well, what year was it?
81.
Yeah, I was 4, but
But I mean, like, I watched it, like, you watch it a couple years later when it was like,
Yeah.
on the HBOs. And
I
stuff
never
like
saw
that,
it, though. I don't know how I never came across it, but
You're a Gen Xer. You should have seen
I know.
Cannonball Run, rated PG, running time an hour and 35 minutes, theatrical release date of June 19th, 1981. Director Hal Needham, 2013. He passed away of cancer in he was 82. His top 4 does not include Cannonball Run, but does include Cannonball Run 2, which I always found that weird.
Does it include Smokey and the Bandit too? Also,
Just Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh, okay.
But then it also includes Mega Force and Stroker Ace, which is
Oh,
another
he did
good
Stroker
one.
Ace.
Yeah,
I did not know
Stroker
that.
Ace
That's
is a
cool.
good
So
one,
he is
yeah.
like Burt Reynolds' boy.
They're friends. Yeah.
If he's doing a movie, Bert's there.
Yep.
Or Bert's doing a movie, he's getting Hal to be his director.
Did he do Night Shade or whatever that?
Oh, the Evening Shade.
Evening Shade.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question because he might.
Is that the one with Cheech? Wasn't Cheech in that too?
He died in 2013, so he could have done that.
Oh yeah, that was a '90s show, right? Yeah. No one watched that show. I'm sure that was super popular. It was like the
Evening Shade. I
Golden
think-
Girls
I want to say it was
adjacent kind of show.
I never watched it. I can't
never
tell you
did.
what that one was about, but I know it was. I think it lasted a good 5 or 6 seasons. It definitely was on for a while.
I mean, wasn't it like a Florida bar and they were all older people? I never saw it.
Honestly,
never
I don't know.
watched it.
That sounds like the Golden Girls.
I saw a
without
couple
the bar.
episodes, but I
Right?
have no idea.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about Evening Shade anymore.
We'll talk.
I've never seen it. I'm going to talk about a show I've never seen.
We'll talk about
I'm going to guess what the plot is.
We'll talk about a wide variety of eccentric competitors participating in a wild and illegal cross-country road race. However, the eccentric entrants will do anything to win the road race, including low-down dirty tricks. This comedy movie brings Burt Reynolds, Sir Roger Moore, Farrah Fawcett, Dom DeLuise, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and an all-star cast to the starting line of the ultimate auto race. A madcap cross-country scramble that roars full speed ahead. This action comedy was inspired by an actual event, the Cannonball Baker Sea to Shining Sea Memorial Trophy Dash. And anything goes, all stops out, and very much illegal competition that has grown to legendary proportions within the last 10 years. And I believe that the guy that starts the Cannonball was the originator.
The guy that actually
race.
did it. Did
Yeah.
they actually run this race every year? Is this a thing that they do? I know it was a thing.
I don't know how many years it was run, but I think it was.
I think it was like a
something-
70s
yeah.
kind of thing. I don't think it made it into the 80s. And at one point they said the record was 32 hours and 51 minutes. I made note of that, and I did a little math in my head, and I was like, I could beat that. I know I could beat
Good.
that. 32 hours and 51 minutes from Connecticut,
back
Connecticut
then,
to LA.
Speed limit was 55.
Yeah, but
everywhere.
they were all going 120 miles an hour anyway. The speed limit didn't
That
matter.
Lamborghini Countach was going pretty fast, right?
I don't think speed limit matters. I just knew I could do that. Like, yeah, I would break 32 hours from here to California.
Plus, the speed limit was crossed out. Didn't they spray?
Oh, they
sprayed
did.
it, right?
And then they added a little tail to the end. I wasn't sure what that meant. I thought she was going to add the 1.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I've seen the 55 change to a
I said
155.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, the sign told me I could go that fast. The spray paint of a different color in front of the number.
Yeah, definitely. Can you tell me who was first cast? Like when the credits rolled, who was the first one that first name that popped up?
It wasn't Burt Reynolds, I guess.
It was Burt Reynolds. I was trying to trick you.
I was going to say, is it alphabetical order? Maybe it wasn't Burt Reynolds.
And Burt's playing J.J. McClure, race car driver. We've talked about it before because this is now, he's been on, we had him on for what? Last Best Little Whorehouse in Texas he was on for.
Yes.
And that's,
I think that's it so far
right?
for him.
So we did have it, we spoke about his top 4 and all that stuff, so we don't really need to get into all that.
That's
but
fine.
we could talk about what's your favorite, one of your favorite?
My favorite Burt Reynolds movie? It's got to be Smokey and the Bandit.
Okay.
Love Smokey and the Bandit.
This is the first thing I've ever seen Burt Reynolds in.
Wow.
My favorite, I would say Deliverance.
Oh,
Is my favorite Burt Reynolds movie.
I would have to say Smoking the Bandit.
Okay.
So
Yeah. But again, I like so many of them, but
Burt was one of those, I mean, like Boogie Nights is an awesome movie. He was great in, but I think he was nominated too.
I did see that.
Yeah, he's
I
the
didn't remember.
main porn guy in that.
he didn't want to do that movie either.
But I think he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor
he
in that
hated
too.
that movie, the filming of it. He was a curmudgeon on it, they said, like to work with, pain in the ass to work with for that movie.
But he was good in it.
But he was good in it. Yeah, he definitely gave it for a movie that he wasn't excited to go to work to do, and he put it out there.
You know
Great
what?
movie.
You're getting a paycheck. Just do it. Or don't do it. Say, I'm not going to do this movie and find someone else. I don't get why you have to be a curmudgeon on the
Yeah,
set. Just
if you hate it that
say,
much,
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, you hear about those actors that be like, oh, I was up for that movie. I said, no, I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I should have, in hindsight. You look back, but Boogie Nights is in his top 4. Deliverance, Striptease, and Smokey and the Bandit.
Demi Moore.
Oh, I saw that. Okay.
See, now you've
Burt
seen
Reynolds
so many.
was in Striptease.
He's like the senator or whatever that pays for her or something like that. Isn't it like a little indecent proposal thing going on in that movie or something like that?
It's been so long.
Yeah, I saw that
I
movie
only
one
saw that
time
once,
and
yeah.
I don't remember the plot, but he's like something political and she's stripping.
I think I got to her first strip scene, and
That was enough.
I was
You're
done.
like, I don't need
You're
to
like,
see
this movie
anymore.
is over for me.
like that's all.
Maybe
I
I'll turn it on another 25 minutes or something like that.
Roger Moore is playing Seymour.
I have it in my notes. Is he? Because
He's playing Roger Moore.
at one point he signs his name
I
Roger
saw
Moore, and he's also playing James Bond because he's driving James Bond's Aston Martin, and he's got
makes-
Bond girls in his car that are rotating. And
It's great every time they come back to him. He has a different girl. In the
I didn't
car.
It took me
notice
a minute to
it. Yeah, I
realize.
didn't notice it like the first 2 times, and then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, that girl's not the same
You're like, I thought he
girl,
had a
right? And
blonde
then
in
it's
there.
another girl and
Well,
another
it's
girl.
just a bunch of blondes, and
Well, there was a Russian girl at one point, or she
Until
had an
they- yeah.
accent. And
I think the story is that he really is a Seymour Goldfarb, but in Hollywood he's Roger Moore. But he's really Seymour Goldfarb.
He was upset that he didn't do the sequel because he wanted to, but he had other things to film. But apparently they had a lot of fun on the sequel and everything. But it just like he felt he didn't do enough of those kind of movies, like comedies and stuff. Like he felt like he did too much.
I remember hearing that he I think pissed off the Bond producers by mocking Bond, so he didn't want to mock Bond anymore. Or something like that.
The producers
Was that
got mad at him.
Broccoli?
Yeah.
Whatever Broccoli, the guys that produced the Bond movies. But it was just so funny because at one point I was like, is he Seymour? Is he Roger Moore, or is he James Bond in this movie? And also Jewish at one point because his mom says something about them being Jewish or something. I was like,
Yeah, his last name's
Goldfarb is a Jewish name, but
Goldfarb Girdles.
But she says something. That's right. He's the heir of the Goldfarb Girdles.
Up next, Farrah Fawcett. She was playing Pamela.
I thought her name was Beauty,
Beauty, right?
because that's all they call her.
She
She
died young in 2009 at 62. She had anal cancer.
Thanks. She also died the same day Michael Jackson died.
Yes.
All her thunder got stolen from her because he died later
Yeah.
that
Who
day.
died?
She was
Oh,
announced
she was
earlier.
first.
She was announced earlier in the day.
She had been dying. Like you
Yeah.
knew she was about to
Yeah.
die, and then Michael Jackson died at like dinner time. And
Yup, and they were like, "That's it,
Yep.
Farrah, bye bye." That's it.
in fact, I bet there's people that didn't know Farrah Fawcett died that day, and then to this day they're like, "Whatever happened to Farrah Fawcett?" Because Michael Jackson stole all
so
her
much.
headlines.
Yeah, she's been so much.
This was after Charlie's Angels, right?
This
Or just
is
right
probably
around?
like the first thing she did after she left Charlie's Angels.
So she was
Because that's like 70
super famous at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Charlie's Angels is in her top 4. Cannonball Run's in her top 4. There's another movie that has Run in it. That's in her top 4. Can you tell me what movie that
Is
is?
it Logan's Run?
It is Logan's Run.
I didn't even know she was in that.
And Saturn 3 is her other
I was going to say Burning Bed. I remember that was a big deal. She lit her rapist
was that the one where
husband on fire or
she
something
set
like
him
that.
on fire, right? Yeah, I think I remember that. Was that
Made
that
for
a
TV or something
movie,
like
though?
that.
Yeah.
But that was like I was like 18 or something like that when they
I remember being, I think I was like an early high schooler. And
people
like
are
seeing
like,
that
oh my
movie.
God, Farrah Fawcett's like killing her husband. I'm like, you realize it's a part, right? She's not actually murdering
No, she
her
really
husband.
did that. That was really.
Oh, was that a biopic?
really
And she
happened.
played the woman that did that? Just like Shirley Theron played the monster in that movie, and that was really her?
In Monster.
Monster, yeah.
Dom DeLuise plays Victor Prinzum.
And
Or he plays who else?
Captain Chaos.
Or
Captain
Captain
USA.
USA.
Or according to the blooper reel at the end, Captain America. It's like, did they realize after?
Did you stick around through the credits like I told you to?
Well, I had seen them before. I think
Okay.
you showed them.
Did they
to me
realize
before.
after they filmed that scene, like, you can't call yourself Captain America because that's copywritten by some shitty comic book company that you can't
Yeah,
take
this
that
is
name.
81.
Yeah,
so
no. Marvel would have been like, "Can you give us like $5 for using that name, please? Thank you."
Yeah, they probably could have got it real cheap
They
if they
could have
wanted.
got it real cheap then.
His top 4 included Cannonball.
Fatso.
No, but that's my favorite movie.
Great
by
movie.
Dom DeLuise.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
No, his top 4 has Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. Oh my God, his scene. He's in one scene, and it is
Yeah.
one of the funniest scenes in the history.
The
of
others
movies.
are The Secret of Nim.
How about
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, so it's
for his voice work.
stuff. He also is only in one scene of Johnny Dangerously, which is hilarious as well. I'm in a Pope. Hey, Pope.
But some of he was Pizza the Hut in
Oh, yeah, of
Spaceballs.
course.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in a movie we did, Best Little Whorehouse.
Of course he was. Yes.
We did that. It's a previous episode. The Muppet movie. He played Emperor Nero in History of the World Part 1. Part 2 is coming out on Hulu.
I cannot
soon.
believe I forgot that he was in History of the World Part 1.
If you haven't seen that movie,
One of my all-time
Dana,
favorite quotes is,
please
watch
see
this.
that movie. Smokey and the Bandit 2 and Silent Movie. I have.
So we're going to be doing Smokey and the Bandit 2 this year, I think, in
Yes.
our 1983
or
retrospective.
no, we're doing 3.
Oh, 3.
It's 3 in 1983. Somebody has to choose. I think we were going to
1
do
and
Smokey.
2.
Somebody was choosing Smokey and the Bandit. That was Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah,
so maybe
so-
we'll
Wait,
get
there's
to...
a Cannonball Run 3?
No, Smokey and the Bandit 3.
Yeah. There's a Cannonball Run 2, but there is a Cannonball Run 3. It's called Freeze.
It's not called Cannonball Run 3. That's all I know.
It's called Freeze something. There's another car movie. There's a third
and
one.
Jamie
yeah.
Farr's in it. That's all I know. Jamie
I
Farr.
think that's the only.
He's the only callback.
Is Jamie Farr still alive?
Yes,
Yes, he is.
Oh,
He's
wow.
been at Chiller. There's Chiller theaters and stuff like that. He comes to those. Yeah.
I think he was relatively young compared to the rest of the cast of MASH. So, like,
He's definitely
Well,
in
they're
his,
drunk. He's
late
old.
80s. I was
Yeah,
going to say
yeah,
he's in
yeah.
his late 80s now.
Which one was he?
I have it right here.
Klinger,
He is.
the train. He's the Sheik.
Oh, okay. And
He's
he was also
88.
Klinger?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't pick
But
up
you
on
know
that.
what? No kind of, what do we call this today? Cultural appropriation, because he is like
He's Lebanese.
Lebanese. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
he's allowed to wear those robes
He's,
and no one can be pissed off. Although Bianca Jagger as his wife or
88.
sister, I don't know if she's allowed to be his wife.
He is
Sister.
88.
He's 88? Holy shit. I thought he was younger than the rest of those guys. Because Loretta Swit's still alive. Alan Alda's still alive.
Yeah, Alan Alda's.
BJ's still alive.
BJ's still alive? I didn't know BJ was still alive.
Mike Farrell. Yeah, but everything, I think, and Radar. I think everybody else is dead.
Yeah.
People keep dying.
Dean Martin played Jamie Blake.
I don't know any of Dean Martin's top 4, so please don't ask me. Oh, no, I do. Ocean's 11, the original. He was in
Nope.
that.
I will tell you, he was on the Dean Martin show.
He was.
Can you tell me how many episodes of the Dean Martin show there were?
Man, you know what?
Everybody.
Ah,
What do you got?
Couldn't tell you.
I'm going to say
100.
50. That wasn't like a every week thing. That was a special kind of couple times a year thing. But I don't really know the answer.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'll tell you, it ran 9 seasons.
Oh, it was like that.
Holy cow.
Jesus Christ. I have no idea.
Dana?
The 100.
263
Wow.
episodes.
Damn.
There's 200. Oh, wow.
The Silencers, Murderers Row, and Rio Bravo round out his top 4.
Now, the Dean Martin show, is that where the roast came from, or were they separate from that?
That's a separate show,
See, I guess I got confused by that, but I didn't know Dean Martin has his own
Yeah, that's a Dean Martin roast.
the roast. But the Dean Martin show, was that like a talk show, like a Carson type
I don't know if it was a talk show or if it was like an actual,
I didn't know he had the show like that. I can't imagine Dean Martin being able to hold it together to talk to somebody else for an hour because he's such a drunk. I mean, there were 2 times where he was drinking and driving in this movie.
As a priest.
There's a lot of drinking and driving. There's some drinking and flying. As Burt Reynolds is like throwing the beer out his window on the
As
plane.
he's landing in the middle of the
I
street.
gotta land this plane and get more beer. How did they shoot that scene? Because that plane lands on
The best part is when Dom DeLuise runs in, he says, "Don't park." And then he just turns it around. It just comes back the other way.
How did they landed that plane on like Main Street, USA,
under power wires?
Yeah, I mean that was really good flying, but it was that, and they were also drinking in whatever you call it, motorboating.
Yeah.
Boating, drinking and boating.
Motorboating's different. Yeah.
As soon as I said motorboating, I'm like, no. Anybody can drink a motorboat. In fact, it's better.
Playing Fender Bomb was Sammy Davis Jr.
Fender Bomb. He was Jewish too because he had the Jewish start. He pulled it out at one point.
He did.
Yeah, his top 4 have both Cannonballs, Porgy and Bess, and Salt and Pepper. I don't know those.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not a huge Rat Pack.
Which is surprised that you would have thought out of both of those, one of them would have had Ocean's.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly like their music, but like anything they didn't do music-wise.
You like Sammy Davis' Candyman. Such a great song.
Right. But like I know that Dean Martin did a lot of comedies with Jerry Lewis and stuff like that. I never saw any of those. I don't know any of that stuff at all.
Yeah.
That's before a time, and that doesn't translate to
Sammy's,
the 80s or whenever I would have been watching that on video.
Yeah.
Sammy's underbite and his teeth, his giant teeth,
Right.
was insane.
Right. And he's just so small.
So small.
Mm-hmm. Shorty.
SML.
Like, and like
SML.
Yeah. And just like his waist was just like
He was
like take your
he
fingers.
looked ill, and I don't know how. I mean, he didn't. When did he die? Like in the 90s,
I
maybe.
have
Like
that
it wasn't
right
like he
here.
was sick and
He
dying.
passed in 1990.
Okay, so this is 11 years or
64.
This is 9 years before he died, so he wasn't sick in this, but he looked
Complications from
sickly.
throat cancer.
Yeah, well, I think all those guys had throat. I think all of them died.
When
of
did
throat
Dean
cancer.
die?
Dean died.
He was after that. I think,
95.
yeah.
Lung cancer and chronic obstructive pulmonary.
And then Frank was like
that does not sound
2000.
comfortable. I mean, up next I have playing Dr. Nicholas von Helsing, Jack Elam.
I would just like to go on record now saying, like, every time he appeared on screen, I laughed out loud.
What?
I
my
laughed
favorite
out
one was
loud.
like, he's like, "Can you drink it?" He's like, "I don't know." And he went,
Obviously, the funniest thing is when he's like, all I need is this, and he sticks his middle finger up on a barrel and just kind of flicks his nose. I made Logan watch it twice last night. I was like, watch it. And then we watched it. Michelle was talking. I'm like, shut up. Rewind it. Watch this again because this is funny.
That's definitely Christine's favorite character.
I think I laughed the most at and with him.
I see Dana making faces. You did not like that character.
I didn't like any of it.
So say, if you didn't like him, that doesn't bode well for the rest of this
No.
movie.
Well, you can already tell that Dana didn't like this movie when we sat down.
I
But
picked
there's I think that's the only one in the room that dislikes this movie.
Clearly. Clearly.
Yeah, so he passed in 2003. He lived to be 82. But once a time
Which is
in
amazing because he looked like he was dying.
1,000 years old.
once upon
With
a
his
time
eyes
in the
going
West,
in different directions.
Oh, is he Once Upon a Time in the West? Is he in that?
Yep.
I've seen that. I'll have to go back and watch that now.
Cannonball Run, Support Your Local Sheriff, and Kiss Me Deadly. But
I don't remember seeing him in anything other than this.
Yeah, me neither. But I have seen Once Upon a Time in the
Yep.
West. So
Adrienne Barbeau, she's playing Marcy.
she's like the patron saint of this podcast because we've talked about her many times already.
Either maybe 2 episodes of The Love Boat, possibly.
Oh, but we definitely
And then
talked
we
about her in
talked about her
Creep
in
Show
Swamp
and
Thing and Creep Show. So yeah,
The
this is-
swamp set thing scene.
Is that the bathtub scene?
No, she's in a
The
swamp.
for like 50 seconds.
There's a 50
Yeah,
second.
yeah, I know. I
bathing
remember listening.
herself.
I'm like, the 50 second. I thought it was a bathtub, but yeah. I remember hearing
I
that.
timed it.
I think I remember you saying 53 seconds exactly. I was like, that's kind of creepy.
She has the best top 4. Escape from New York, Creep Show, The Fog, and Back to School.
Oh, I love Back to School.
I probably said it the last time you did. I was like, back to school, right? Oh, yeah, that's right. She's Rodney's first wife in that. Or,
And
I guess, second wife.
honorable mention, Maud. She was on Maud.
Maud.
Yep. So
I don't remember how
we
many
talked about
episodes she
her.
was
This is
in.
her 3rd time on a podcast, so we really talked about her a lot already. So following Adrienne Barbeau, we had Terry Bradshaw, who played Terry. He played Terry.
He was doing a stretch. He was stretching. Well, he was probably the first thing he ever acted.
He was
in.
drinking and driving, too.
They filled that back car up with Bud, like the stacks and cases of Bud. But he was drinking originally the first time.
And when
he
they
showed
got pulled over,
Yeah.
it's just like,
and the cop didn't seem to care
No,
about that.
cop didn't care.
That wasn't the problem. The speeding was the problem.
yeah.
Oh,
And he was
man.
bald. I was really surprised. I mean, how old was he
He
then?
was bald back then.
He was
yeah.
probably 30 or so. Oh, maybe
He's
30.
74 now, so this was what? That was 81,
It's almost-
so
it's
42
40
years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was 32.
I'm glad you guys did that math. I was
Yeah.
like 87. I don't know. I can't do that. I mean, so that's 81. So they filmed this. I mean, was this the end of the Steelers' run? I guess at that point, right?
The Steelers had won Super Bowls 9, 10, 13, and 14.
at this now. When did you know Bradshaw better than me? When did he retire from the NFL?
Well, he get hurt in 83.
Is it that long? Okay.
Oh, he was playing football like during. When this movie
He was
came
still
out?
a pro. There's another pro
wow.
football player in this.
He got
movie.
hurt in 83 because we could have drafted Dan Marino, but we didn't because we had Terry Bradshaw. But if
Which is funny now in the NFL, they're like, oh, we'll just.
could you, and then everybody Marino fell so far because he smoked marijuana, and he dropped. That's why he dropped to 30 something to the Dolphins that year. But the Steelers could have drafted him. They didn't because they had Bradshaw. Bradshaw gets hurt in like the 2nd game of the season.
But I mean, like,
and then-
even if you have Terry Bradshaw, you draft Dan Marino. You cut Terry Bradshaw today. Today you do.
Today, yeah, but now they
Not a question.
Back then,
right?
it was a different.
Right?
So,
Right?
of
Right?
course. That would be crazy.
Tune into our other podcast. We talk football and everything.
Oh shit, that would be cool. The other, I don't know if you have him in the notes, but Joe Klecko's in this later on. He's one of the.
yeah, I didn't pull him in there.
Nah, he's
but
one of
he is
those
on there.
pickup truck drivers.
He's a Polish race car driver. Is what
At one
he's,
point, he gets out of the car and he's standing over the cop. He's towering over him. He's a little cross-eyed. He played for the Jets.
Oh, the big guy
Yep.
Big guy, very
holding
big guy.
up the van
Yeah.
when they're changing the.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Joe Klecko. He's part of the gangrene Jets
Yep.
defense of the 80s.
Jackie Chan played
he's such a
Subaru
baby.
driver #1, and this
Yeah.
movie's very racist towards Jackie Chan.
Absolutely. And Sam
Subaru
Davis
driver
Jr.
#2.
Yeah.
Well, the racist. Well. Listen, this is 1981. I know there's a lot of times where in MASH, a Japanese guy or a Chinese guy probably played a Korean. I don't fault them for
Jackie
casting.
Chan is
I don't-
Chinese.
I was gonna say I don't fault
Oh,
them
he
for
is?
casting a Chinese guy to play a Japanese guy, but
Jackie
it
Chan was upset about that they made his role.
I don't think I
in
realized
this.
either way that he was not playing his
That's
own race.
that's racist on you.
I know it is.
Well, the
I was
first
just
scene is
focused on how
like
young he was.
the first scene is like Tokyo
He's only 68
TV or
years
something
old
like
now. So
Oh,
42 years ago, he was
Yeah.
only what?
He's a baby.
26. Yeah.
I liked all his scenes when he was
26.
out
Jack-
there.
What,
Chan was
what
26.
language do you think he was speaking when he was?
He was speaking
talking?
Chinese.
He was speaking Chinese. Okay.
Mandarin, and I think that first scene where he's on Tokyo TV and he starts yelling at the host doesn't understand him because he's speaking Japanese. He doesn't understand what this guy's talking about. I don't know who the other guy was, the other Japanese driver. I don't know who that was. I was hoping it was like the guy from Gung Ho or something
He
like that.
didn't. He
but
didn't
was
make it
not
into
him.
my list. I don't think he had a picture next to his name.
Nah,
He might
probably
not
not.
even have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was.
Oh no, wait, Michael Hui. He's the Subaru driver #2. Yeah, but I didn't have him. Anything that he was in was not anything we had heard of, like Happy Dindon,
I never saw that.
Chicken and Duck Talk.
It was.
That sounds
it,
great.
It was great that they were sensitive enough to me when watching this movie that every time the Subaru came on the TV, they played that.
That's one of the races.
I
Oh,
know.
I was
Every
like,
time.
yeah, I get it. All right, these guys are Japanese. Thank you. Although they weren't Japanese. One of them was Chinese, but we don't care.
Up next, playing Brad was Bert Convey, one of my
The
favorites.
motorcycle guy?
Yes.
I don't understand how the back tire had enough tread to make it all the way from Connecticut to California because that front tire never hit the ground.
Why did he do that?
Who knows?
Am I missing? Was that the same guy? He had a man in a wig on the back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if it.
The man in the wig was Warren Berlinger.
Oh.
And he was one of those guys I've seen and stuff. I just don't remember what he was.
He's one of those
around.
guys that you've seen in everything, but
Yeah.
you don't know him from.
But what do I know
anything.
the driver from?
He was a game show host.
He was a game show host.
Oh,
Yeah, Win, Lose, or Draw.
yeah, okay.
Tattletales,
Yes.
Password.
Thank you.
He
Okay.
died very, very young. 1991, 57, brain tumor. He just dropped
Jeez.
dead from a brain tumor. Yeah.
Damn.
That role was so ridiculous because
But he
I
was
think,
very good friends with Bert and Don DeLuise.
okay.
Like,
I think you only see his face in that first scene when they're talking to him, and then it's all just obviously a stunt driver
with curly hair.
going on the back wheel, of doing a wheelie
And
the
then the biker
entire
fight.
drive. Oh yeah. He takes his helmet off in that.
They
right?
should have got the biker from what's that movie with Mel Gibson that we did, Road Warrior.
Oh, that would have been great. Yeah. The guy that was in
After Burt
Commando
Comedy
also?
was Jamie Farr. Who
Jamie
we
Farr.
talked about.
Who was Jamie?
He played the Sheik.
Oh, right.
His top four was MASH, Cannonball Run 2, and Scrooged.
I've never seen Scrooged.
No,
Not because I just never seen it. It's just one of those movies that
it's a decent movie.
it's in my blind spot. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's one of those one where I have what I just.
I mean, I've seen tons of Bill Murray movies. It's not like I'm anti Bill Murray, but I do like Jamie Farr. He makes me laugh.
Do you know who played the chief biker in this?
The chief biker?
The
in the
main-
biker gang?
Not the bald guy, but the other guy.
The biker gang? Oh, as soon as he popped in, I was like, oh, it's that person.
Yeah.
I yelled it out
Does
to Michelle.
Brian know who that is?
Is he well known for
Very
being
well
a
known.
biker guy?
Yes, he is.
He was in
Is this
movies.
Peter?
It is.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Okay.
Peter Fonda.
Peter
Fonda?
Fonda.
Yeah,
I thought that was Peter Fonda.
As soon as I
Look at
saw him,
me.
I was like, oh, Peter Fonda's in this? I'm like, that's crazy. Because it was like basically his like Easy Rider character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was on the Easy Rider bike, wasn't
On
he?
the same bike.
George Firth, he played AF Foyt. Who?
Voight.
Who'd he play?
Wait.
That would have been the good
Oh yeah, good.
soundbite, right? I wanted to say on the Clockwork episode where the clap came in, the editing was beautiful on that, wasn't it? Wasn't that beautiful editing?
It did hit at one point exactly right. I think we even comment. We were like, oh, you finally know where your buttons are. George Firth will be, I know he is going to be someone we talk about a lot over the next couple months because he is in The Man with Two Brains.
Yep.
And he is in Dr. Detroit. And they are both 1983
Man with
movies
Two
that we'll
Brains
talk
made
about.
his top four, along with Cannonball, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. Oh, he's one of he's Van Johnson.
Yeah.
He's Van Johnson.
Johnson, yep.
Yeah. Nice. Van Johnson. Those
Bianca
Johnsons.
Jagger, she played Sheik's sister. You were just talking
Yeah.
about her, about not necessarily fitting that role, right?
Yeah, whatever. But Michelle was asking me, who's that? I'm like, that's Mick Jagger's ex-wife. She was the one that caught him and David Bowie in bed together and went on all the tabloid TV
Yes.
shows at the time
Yes.
to talk about that. I think she was even on Howard to talk about that.
Still alive, too, 77.
And Mick Jagger and David Bowie both denied that ever happened.
Yeah. Now,
Well, David Bowie can't. But back then he said no.
yep. Molly Picone, she played Mom Goldfarb.
Okay.
That was Seymour's mom. And I have Jimmy the Greek Snyder playing the Greek.
I know who Jimmy
You know
the
who that
Greek
is,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Which one
He's
was
a-
the Greek?
He
The
was
Greek
the
was the guy taking the bets.
when Sammy and
Oh.
Dean at the beginning are like betting with him. He was a football for most part
He was
handicapper.
handicapper.
He was
picked
on
the
he was
odds
on
and stuff like
CBS
that.
in the 80s, like on the football pregame show, like giving his bets and odds. And then he said a whole bunch of racist stuff. He had some of the like earliest cancellations of being ignorant. Oh my God, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I can't remember now what he said, but it was like you know what? I might be able to remember what he said, so I will not say what he said.
I had Mel Tillis played Mel.
So Terry and Mel played Terry and Mel. That was deep. That was deep for those two guys.
And then Rick Avalay, that's when you were asking about, played Mad Dog. He died very young as
Wait,
well.
which one's that? Who's that?
He was
in
in
the pickup truck?
the pickup truck.
the one with Klecko?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He died at age 42, AIDS-related pulmonary embolism. His top 4 was Waterworld, Ghost. The Cannonball Run, and Carlito's Way.
Yeah, Carlito's Way. Yeah, for sure. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah. All right.
Was he a comedian? Like, he had a lot of voices.
He did Richard Nixon in this one. He was like, he did that. I don't know if you noticed that in the movie.
Yeah.
And but he did that kind of, I think it was like those kind of impressions and stuff like that. He did that
So
kind
like
of comedy.
the ones that we would do.
Yeah.
Anyone that we could do. Jason just did it. Jason just did his Nixon.
I could do a better Nixon than that. I won't, but I can.
I think he just did.
I went through the cast. That's a long cast. I tried to make that quick. I mean,
You know, I don't.
that was almost Love Boat-esque.
I don't want to like say anything detrimental to this movie, but I have a lot better memories of the sequel for some reason. And I saw this one in the theater. I saw Cannonball Run in the theater, and the cast of the sequel is ridiculous. We could do a 3-hour podcast.
When did that come out?
84. So next year we'll get to Cannonball Run 2, but the Cannonball Run 2 cast is triple this. Like, it's all these people and then double it, like another.
But not Roger Moore.
No, but you got Frank Sinatra in it and stuff like
His
that.
last
So it's like,
on-screen performance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
so anyway, like, I think I got a lot of my. When I was watching this movie, I was like, oh, I thought Frank Sinatra was in this movie. And then I looked it up. I'm like, oh, that's Cannonball Run 2. All right. And then I'm looking at that cast. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, it just kept going on and on and on and on. I was like, that's amazing. This has a great cast. Wow. Great cast. It has a cast.
But it's just like it's just like that shitty movie that Brian made us do.
Head Office. Oh,
Sharknado.
We never did Head Office.
Didn't have all the cast, big cast.
The
started in
sequels would
second
start
one.
doing that. Right.
Yeah.
right.
Head Office does have a lot of people.
There's a lot of people in Head Office that we would like to see. I don't know why neither of us know that movie, but
I know.
but there is that one person in there that you were like, yeah, you should know who it was, but it's the guy from Green Acres, which was ridiculous. But did you know this movie was originally planned to be an action movie starring Steve McQueen? Did you know that?
Now, did he not do it because he died before? I don't know when Steve McQueen died.
After
but
McQueen's death, the role went to Reynolds, and they turned it into a comedy.
Like, Steve McQueen's one of those guys. It's like just a little bit before my time. Like, I've seen stuff with him, but I don't know him at all. Like when he died, I know he died young, relatively young.
Yeah, I don't have when he died or any of that stuff.
No. I'm just saying, like, he's one of those guys that I don't know. He's just right before my time. He died, too young for him to even be in a Cannonball Run movie and see him in that kind of stuff. So I have to see.
Which he probably would have been perfect for like cameos in these movies. You would think.
But I think Burt Reynolds as JJ is better than Steve McQueen, who I don't know as well. But
Steve McQueen, it would have been an action movie as well. It wasn't going to be a comedy.
Totally different movie. Yeah, that's right.
So we don't know what it would have been. Yeah. But Burt made $5 million for this movie. So $5 million back in '81 is pretty good.
That's like $14 billion now or something like that. But gas was cheaper, 79 cents a gallon.
That made him the highest actor and highest paid actor.
79 cents a gallon at the gas station they pulled into to buy
That's
gas.
one of my favorite things to do now when I'm watching like an old TV show or movie, like looking for the gas price.
Because gas is the only thing. No one advertises how much milk costs or eggs or bread. It's gas.
Although I saw eggs for like $7.99 recently.
I know they're ridiculous now, but the only thing anybody knows the price on is gas. How much is a loaf of bread?
It's like
$2.49.
How much?
$2.49.
Yeah, if it's on sale, $2.99 regular price.
That's what I paid for it. $2.49. Yeah, I go shopping.
Shop.
If you had said
Like, how
$5,
do you
I would have been like,
You don't go to
okay,
the grocery
I guess
store,
that's what a loaf of bread is. I don't even know.
Michelle does the grocery shopping.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I don't even know. I don't even know the price of things. But gas, I
know it because
absolutely
I do it.
know
Yeah.
the price of gas.
I don't know
ShopRite.
I do a lot of grocery shopping, but I don't know the.
Well, you know what? I was going to say when
I
I grocery shop, I just grab. I'm like, oh, I know that brand. I'm grabbing that, and then Michelle takes it out of my hand and puts it back and grabs like the generic
ShopRite
version.
brands?
I'm like,
Yeah.
Bowl and Basket? I like Bowl and
listen,
Basket.
Basket's great.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the name brands cost more. There's a reason why. Sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Michelle's mom
A lot of times
infamously-
Bowl and Basket's even better.
Yeah.
And I do like their stuff, but Michelle's mom was infamous for buying stuff at the dollar store, food and stuff like that. I'm like, Nancy, I'm not eating any of your food because it's all dollar store shit. I
got this Timor stew from the dollar store. No, you did. Yeah,
the instructions on the back are in French and in English. I'm like, I'm not eating this shit. I'm not eating your Canadian food.
When you go into the dollar store and you see there's like a frozen food section, that scares me.
Who's eating this food?
I'm sorry, we got off topic there. But what do we want to talk about? Let's see. What do you got in your notes there, Andy? Anything?
In the first scene where we meet Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds, and he mentions him, and Burt Reynolds, smacks his head into the hood of the car, and like it's so weird that they're talking about like I would have thought there should have been a setup scene of him. There's a lot of him talk before him ever shows up.
Who was him?
Captain Chaos.
That's Captain Chaos. That's what
I keep saying him,
about. Yeah.
him. But then the next scene they're in, they're driving their car. They go around the police roadblock and they go into the ditch, and the cops come walking over to them in the ditch. And then the next scene, they're flying in a plane. I was like, shouldn't they have been arrested for something, or like everything?
A lot of people should have been arrested.
Everything's just a ticket here. It's just like you're going 175 miles an hour in a 45. Can you just sign on the back? The judge might want to see you in the morning. I'm like, you're just letting them go. They're going 17 times the speed limit, and you're just letting them walk away.
Seem a little off.
Oh man, so much of this.
I saw that bulk of the people that were in this only worked 2 or 3 days. That's all they were really needed. So
they did all their stuff. And wasn't all this filmed in like Georgia or something like that?
I was going to say California, because you see the California hills a lot.
Yeah. Well, the California hills are like in the first scene where they're in Connecticut. Yeah. You know those big hills that they have in Connecticut.
Here the producers asked the governor of Georgia if the crew could shut down the center of a small town so that a plane could land in a town street. The barrier that police used to block off a section of the street can be seen in the background.
Oh, I have to watch it again to see that. But it did seem like a lot of this was done with just cars driving down the street, and you could have had anybody driving those cars, and we'll just film Burt later. Just drive a car. And
well, yeah, the ambulance going into St. Louis. That was just probably some get in a helicopter, film an ambulance, driving into St. Louis.
Any kind of stock footage of something. Yeah.
It was funny because they went into Missouri, they go into St. Louis, and then the next scene is someone in California. Michelle's like, they're in California already? They yada over like 50% of the country. It's crazy how quickly they got from the Mississippi River to California.
They were like, weren't they just in Missouri?
The first time we see Burt Convy, he's talking to two people on either side of him, and then he immediately gets on his motorcycle and drives out of the plane and parachutes out of the plane. But what happened to the motorcycle?
So unnecessary.
Like he's parachuting out. And there's
he lets go of it.
Yeah,
he lets go of it. Yeah,
like that just went flying down like a Chinese balloon. Like I hope there was no one below that.
Wasn't he in the hotel? He was on the motorcycle and he rides through.
And he drove through walls.
Yeah.
You're not just driving through a wall and not feeling
But you had to like when Terry and they were working on the car and they were doing their speech and they started the car up and blew the window out. How did you not like that, Dana?
And then the pickup truck through the hotel, but then every vehicle went through that hotel. Yeah. Every vehicle.
Why would that hotel allow the Cannonballers to come there next year? Cannonballers, no, we won't take your reservations this year.
I'm saying I love this movie. I'm spoiling my score now.
And it was really funny.
I love this movie.
When Jamie Farr got there, when he pulled up, he's like, 1 suite. No, 4 suites. You know what? A whole floor of suites. I'm like, I don't think there's any suites in this dive motel you guys are going to. Oh, and when he went to the sandwich shop or whatever, they were getting food, and the girl with the cleavage was throwing them all off. He's like, I'm coming back for you. Oh, God. Jamie Farr's funny, man. Him being Jamie Farr makes me laugh. I think I'm a big MASH fan, so I like seeing him doing stuff. When MASH was still like that was at the height of MASH, 1981.
The Sammy Davis Jr. character was almost Don Rickles almost had that role. He was originally... Fenderbaum was originally Don Rickles.
Oh, wow.
So it had been Don Rickles and Dean Martin.
You know what? You need... I think it's better that Sammy was there because Dean
and Don don't work together
Rickles,
unless you got Jerry.
Rickles is too much of a personality. He would have been the
Dean and Jerry would have been good.
He would have been, yeah, that would have been actually pretty good, yeah. But Rickles is too much of a strong personality. He would have been
lady.
He would have been fighting back with Dean.
Make sure that stays in. That's my Jerry Lewis impersonation.
He'll do it when we do our next Jerry Lewis movie.
And then you can start going, Jerry. You
already got your in. You have the same first name.
The cufflinks.
When AJ Foyt, what's his name?
Foyt.
When he's having his meeting at the beginning.
You didn't like that when they kept saying what's his name?
And everybody remembered it, but Farrah Fawcett. She didn't know his name. We have to go back for Mr. Foyt. They were offering hemp sandwiches in the lobby. She said a bunch of weird things, and she's like, "In hemp sandwiches." I'm like, what's going on here? In 1981, hemp sandwiches? Now, is that just rope?
I think that's what
I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
This was the 6th most popular movie in 1981 at the box office. That's pretty good.
What'd it make?
6th
I didn't
I
get the money that it made. But
that would have been like Raiders of the Lost Ark and other stuff, I'm sure, that I'm blanking on.
Let's see what I got in my notes here. I know I got some stuff over here.
One of Christine's notes?
Yeah.
When they get pulled over in New Jersey.
Wait.
When they get pulled over in New Jersey and they do they kiss to get out of that ticket?
No, they're holding hands.
They're holding hands.
Yeah.
They're holding hands. Yeah. And he tells them to get out of there because there's no cupcakes in New Jersey. I was like, I'm getting a strong vibe from this. I know a lot of cupcakes and a lot of them live in New Jersey.
Did you hear some of the lines early on? Like, we could get a black Trans Am. They're like, nah, that's been done. That was funny.
I caught on to that.
He said, "You know something, Mama? You're too Jewish." Roger Moore.
That's the line. I knew there was a too Jewish line. And Roger Moore was saying that to his mom. Huh?
Some of my favorite parts too are just like random, like they would pan away and then Bert's laugh, his giggle.
Well, they did that in the credits when the 20th Century Fox logo was running and the cars were driving through the logo, and you just hear Bert's laugh at the end. I was like,
"How about that?" Did anybody else catch on to this scene when? I didn't understand it. It was just Adrian Barbeau says, "You haven't seen our equipment." Then Bert does the Donald Duck impersonation.
I heard it. I don't think I saw it.
And then Dom DeLuise laughs. It's like, what the hell just happened? Why do you go?
So at
saw it or heard it?
No.
At one point in the movie,
I didn't understand it.
Yeah, well,
I remember
it seemed like it was a blooper that they just left in. At one point in this movie, Dean and Sammy get them to pull over to bless the car. And then they let the air.
Remember them?
And then they saw them at the beginning of the movie, and he even says, "One of those priests is black." Like you would think that would stick out in his mind.
That line was ridiculous too. He's like, "Wait, they have black priests?
They have black priests?" I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what are we doing here?"
And he goes, "Yes."
So they let the air out of the tire, and then they take off, and we don't see them again either car until the ambulance pulls into the gas station where gas was 79 cents. And as soon as they pull out, the Ferrari pulls out like into the gas station. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how did they get in front of like there's
they
no
all started
logic,
at different times,
but they let the air out of the tire and got ahead of them. They should be way ahead of them now, but now they're behind them at the gas station.
There's a lot of that.
There's all kinds of stuff like that because there's one scene where Adrienne Barbeau has her thing already pulled down. They turned away from her. They come back. It's zipped up.
Well, that's like kind of like that's an error in production. This seemed like an error in the logic of the movie because the Ferrari should have been way ahead of them. And then they tell them
they're all getting arrested.
Yeah, I guess. But they don't show that stuff. There's a lot of that don't show. And in fact, Adrienne Barbeau, at one point when they're driving, they blow past the cop. The cop gets off on the exit and they go this way. They go straight and then they stop and they turn around to wait for the cop to come off the exit and catch him. I was like, you drove back into getting caught by the cop. You knew you were in front of him. Why would you turn around and come back into the cop? Ridiculous.
What did I have here? Oh, that was the 1964 Aston Martin that Roger Moore's driving. Is the same one used in Goldfinger from 1964.
So it's an actual James Bond car, but he wasn't James Bond.
This was Burt Convey's final movie.
But wait, but he didn't die in 80. He died like later on. He didn't die right after this, right?
He died in, what did I say, 89?
Yeah, so he didn't just die when this was done. He just never did movies again.
It was his last movie, but then he started doing all the game shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he died in 91.
One of the best lines of like something's happening and you get interrupted and then they come back to the people. Dean Martin's talking to the two girls at the beginning of the race and you see him talking to them and they cut away to something else. And then you see Sammy walking over to him and grab Dean. And he's like, how about just one of you? I wish I had heard the rest of his conversation. I want to know Dean Martin's moves.
That was good. That made me.
One of the things, the race didn't even start until between 35 and 40 minutes in.
Yeah, it was very late into the movie.
So much.
That's what Christine's
all
note
the beginning
was.
part, and then the race itself was over for, like you said, they went New Jersey, Pennsylvania,
went really fast.
Missouri, and then California. Yeah,
I'm like,
and
I would have liked it more if you saw more of the
and there were
race.
a lot of like
you might like two better.
Like they took a route. Everybody took the same route, and they all took the route where there was a roadblock in California. 10 miles
like
from
dirt
the end,
road.
10 miles from the end of the road. There's a lot of roads in California. You could have gone around that. But
Roads where we're going.
We don't need roads.
we'll get to that in a couple of years. One of the bigger I remember I saw this movie in the movie theater with my grandfather, and he hated it. I loved it. When we walked out of there, he was like, that might be the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. I was like, oh my God, I love this. But he said to me then, and I remembered it when I was watching this, at the beginning of the movie, they all punch a clock. Mm-hmm. So that's your time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the movie,
Nobody
it seems
does.
to be whoever gets the punch clock first. They're racing to get there, but it doesn't matter because
everybody's time is different.
Everybody's time is different by many, many minutes. It should have been like
Adrian
by a half hour.
Adrian Barbeau, they weren't the first ones.
They weren't the first to punch, and even if they were the last to punch, it wouldn't matter because someone could have punched after them. And
Yep.
I agree.
it was so funny that as I was watching this happen, I was like, I remember Pop telling me about, like, complaining about this when I was 11 years old and I saw this in the movie
plot
theater.
holes.
I didn't understand the concept of time then. I barely understand it now. But as I was watching this time, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what he was talking about, because it shouldn't matter who gets to the clock first.
Yeah.
It should matter who did it in the least amount of time and whatever.
Yeah, the clock is irrelevant.
And there was another little plot holy
irrelevant.
thing there where Roger Moore was in that group of people running to get to the clock. And then his Aston Martin was one of the ones that pulled up there at the end. And all of a sudden he's like, why don't you light my cigar and use my lighter? I don't know why I'm doing a German accent, but I guess I don't do a good Roger Moore. I could do a better Sean Connery. I'll just do Sean Connery. Why don't you go use my lighter? And that didn't work. I don't have a Michael Caine. You have a Michael Caine.
And then at one point, Jackie Chan just randomly pops in a porn and starts watching porn in the car.
Behind the green door.
Behind the Green Door. I remember that movie.
Candace Bergen.
I remember that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Murphy Brown?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
She was a sex pop back in the day.
It wasn't a porno. It was a sexy movie.
I mean, I can't say I ever saw it, but it seemed like it was.
It was like Caligula or something like that. It was
Skinemax,
yeah. But that was weird because he was the driver. Like all of a sudden he's the driver and he's like, I'm gonna watch some porn while we're driving now. I think if we do Caligula, we have to have Brian Mack back on because I know that's one of his all-time favorites.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He likes all that deviant British shit, man.
Bert's wearing a Florida State University hat. He went there from 1954 to 1957. Did you know that?
No.
It didn't fit very well.
Nothing fit very well.
He even played football.
He was the quarterback. Oh, that was in All the Right Moves. Not All the Right Moves. Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Their night vision goggles were ridiculous.
That was awesome.
So stupid.
That's all they saw when they were driving down the road when they had their cold car was turned off, but their lights was
you could see
just
better
in their eyes.
without those things on.
Can I tell you, as I was watching this, I went to Amazon immediately and was like, infrared goggles. I need these right now.
How much?
They didn't have it. I said,
you know what?
Jackie Chan infrared goggles.
There's other websites. We'll talk about it also.
Oh my God.
Dark web.
Well, and they were running to punch out too at the very end, but they never punched in.
That's right. And the guys
drove by.
They drove by and the guy was kind of like, okay. Like, so they didn't have a start time. So
yeah. Did they punch it for him? But they didn't have.
But they didn't have the card. They wouldn't have had the card.
Yeah.
But you're right. They drove right past it, and the guy was like, kind of like, what is it? What do the rules matter? It doesn't matter. All I need is this. And at the end of the movie, when they did like the helicopter shot, they pulled back, and Jamie Farr, he was on the outside looking into that group. I was like, why is he not trying to punch in? I don't know. I just saw his big chic, whatever the hell that is, the thing.
Babadook?
Whatever their big cloak is.
Chic outfit?
Yeah, their big chic outfit. I don't know. I just noticed that. I saw Jamie Farr on the outside of the gate. There was a gated in area where they were all punching in, and he was way outside. I was like, did they forget to like put Jamie Farr inside? Like when they filmed it? Because it became a helicopter shot. It was like a tight, and they kept pulling back, and then Jamie Farr was outside. I was like,
I didn't notice that.
What one of my favorite lines was when Dean Martin as Jamie Blake gets out of the car and he walks around the ambulance, and Victor says, "Nice looking car," and Jamie Blake goes, "Thanks, asshole."
I liked when he went to go bless the girl. He was like, oh, I've got to bless her.
Farrah, right? Yeah.
Or when he went, "What is this?" He says, "It's a stakeout." He said, "Bon appetit."
Bon appetit.
Yeah.
He said, "English humor." He just,
I'll tell you, Roger Moore should have done more comedy because he was a
How about
great, dry British
can we
wit
talk about the
guy.
explosions or when cars were fast
Oh, my
forwarded to go
God.
spin real fast?
Yeah,
and everything
I
like
have that in my notes. The police car spinning was so stupid. The dune buggies.
I loved it.
There was something about the way all those buggies were going up the hill when Jackie Chan.
Yeah,
and
Jackie
his
Chan's
guy-
car just
Yeah.
ended
And
up
they
in
just-
a dune buggy race.
Yeah,
Like,
and-
why
but
was that?
the way they were all going up that hill was, I don't know what that camera work was, but it was like
That
the
was like
motion of it was
that
just
was
terrible.
like whatchamacallit, James Cameron like kind of work, because like that was just like nobody's doing it. It was just out of this world. I mean, I
yeah.
loved it.
No one's doing this yet.
I
We are
loved it.
breaking the mold.
That spinning police car just was really.
It was so
It's so
fast. It was
fast.
like it spun
Yeah.
around like 8 times, and
I
like
did.
That
the
guy's
smallest little-
brain would have been gravy after that.
Yeah.
It spun around 8 times real fast in like the shortest little distance too.
They love speeding up parts.
What do you got in your notes? Come on, talk to me. More notes from Christine? Or?
No, she just hers was just how you didn't know anything. Like if you had just watched this movie for the first time and you weren't aware it was a
Like,
car
Dana's
race,
watching it for the first
you
time.
wouldn't know it up until they actually explained it.
It does take a
At the
while
ver-
for them to get to the race, to the actual race, and then that's why there's not enough time for the race.
Yeah, and the beginning was just a half hour of random scenes. Well, maybe not the whole.
the
maybe
beginning of
20
this
minutes,
movie is
and
like
it's
the beginning of this podcast
Yeah.
where we talk about the cast.
It's just yes, exactly. And you're watching. I'm like, what does this have to do with that? And why? What does Burt Reynolds and whatever do for a living? Because then they're in this garage, then they're in the plane, then they're in a boat.
Things said
then they're
land,
doing-
sea, and
what's-
air.
But what were they doing? But what do they do?
Testing them out. And then, I mean, Burt Reynolds wrecked his neck in that boat accident, and yet he was okay the next day to race, but whatever. He was in the collar and everything.
J.J. McClure. Yeah, everybody was afraid of him when they saw him. Remember, Dean Martin was like, "Look, McClure's here." So
Yeah, but
It would have been better if he was just the bandit, and they were like, "Oh, the bandit's here." Oh,
everybody should have played themselves. That would have been interesting.
Well, I mean, Jackie Chan's name was Jackie Chan in this movie.
and I think Roger Moore's was too.
Terry,
and Terry and Mel.
but it could have been James Bond. But it could have also been.
They play their most famous characters. I'm Terry Bradshaw, quarterback for the.
Where they change characters
Pittsburgh
throughout.
Steelers.
Like if they had multiple characters, they could have played throughout them.
You got to get like Harrison Ford or something like that for that.
What else do you have in your notes, Andy? Anything?
The only other thing, I have only one other thing. And the first time we see Farrah Fawcett, when Burt Reynolds sees her for the first time, her high beams were gigantic. I was like, they must have like just gone up to her with ice cubes and flicked her nonstop to make that look.
Yeah.
I was like, that poor
They were like
girl.
that the whole time.
And they were like,
But that one scene, because she's in profile
Yeah.
too, I was like, oh, those have to hurt. Like, what did they do to her to get that to happen? And Burt Reynolds is like, if it was like Chevy Chase, smoke would have come out of his mouth, like in Caddyshack.
And he dated her after this, right?
Oh, really?
I don't know if he did.
I think she was one of
his many because was he with Sally Fields?
He was with Sally Fields too, but I think
That's
he
the one
spent
that,
some time with Farrah Fawcett.
That's when he was sad that he got
Sally Field.
that he ruined
He was
the
upset
relationship with
that he got
he
let
said
her get
she's the
away.
perfect woman, but he ruined it.
Oh,
Is she still around?
She is.
Yeah.
She's in that
she's something new.
80 for Brady movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That can't be good.
That's
right?
my-
I mean,
Oh, did need to ask. I mean, like, there's
Well,
no way that's good.
I might make him like something he might like.
Well, Michelle's watching it like the day it comes out, so he can watch it with the girls.
My mom just left for Florida, and it's in a car full of a couple 80 years old.
Well, Tom Brady just
I think
retired.
one's
Maybe they can get him.
60-year-old, but my mom's, going to turn 79 while she's down in Florida, and we're just like, this sounds really safe. Of course, they get there, and they were supposed to be a 2-bedroom condo that they're renting, and it's 1 bedroom.
Oh, no.
So it's already starting off like
It's already
That's
turned into
calm.
quite an
That
adventure.
sounds like a good plot for a movie, like a Cannonball Run 3, where it's just a bunch of old ladies going from New Jersey to Florida.
you get that shot where they're all laying in bed with their covers up, and all 4 of them in one bed.
Head like flip flop.
Head to toe. But the genitals still
They're
lined
still
up.
lined up. Yeah. Dana, did you have more in your notes?
No, other than, drugging Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Kidnapping her.
Yeah,
Kidnapping her
her.
as
Just grabbing her. Pulling
And then the
her in.
bikers who picked up the girl in the purple leather outfit. I don't know her name, the blonde one.
The
And
not Adrian
They were
Barbeau
just
one.
taking
Yeah.
her into the shack to, do whatever. That whole scene,
Thank
the
God for
biker
Captain
scene,
Chaos.
Yeah,
was
Captain
just
Chaos
so
saved her.
ridiculous. Like, I
In a movie
rolled
like
my
this-
eyes so many
But
times.
in a movie like
watching
this, I'll allow it because you know she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know Captain Chaos is
is
going to
there.
get to
Yeah,
her. But
thank
like
God.
in a normal movie, I'd be like, ooh, what are they going to do to
Yeah.
that poor girl? But
Yeah.
she'll be
Professor
okay. in this.
Chaos.
And what do you think was
Professor
in the syringe that the doctor kept putting in?
I don't know, but
but
I
they
would
were-
have loved to have tried it.
Yeah,
When he just shot it to his mouth.
whatever
when he pours it into his mouth.
It almost made his eyes point in the same direction.
I'm telling you, every time that guy had a line in this movie, I was crying. I was like,
Better
was insane.
better eyes, him or Marty Feldman in Young Frankenstein.
man.
I would say better eyes, Marty Feldman, but better face, just crazy looking face, was definitely the doctor.
Yeah, because Marty
Dr. Van Helsing.
Marty Feldman was
Exactly.
Young
yeah,
Frankenstein.
Van Helsing, right? Yeah, Marty Feldman was probably only like 30 years old in Young Frankenstein too. So,
Wait, they made a part 2?
did I say Young Frankenstein Part 2?
You said Young Frankenstein 2.
Oh.
Jesus
I
Christ.
got him though.
You did get him. you had me at first too. Then I realized what you were doing.
I don't want to do this podcast. I quit.
Dropping Eves.
But yeah, Marty Feldman was very young in that.
Yeah.
So, what's his name? Jack Alon.
Black.
What's his name? The
Elam,
doctor.
Jack Elam.
Yeah, I don't even know where it's going now.
He was just absolutely insane.
He looked
looking.
like he was just sweaty and
Insane
dirty
looking.
the whole
Remember, he was
time.
like, what do you want, 25,000 at first?
He's like 200. I'll take your offer.
And I love when Bert's like, I don't want to know where you found it. And then the one comment that Dom DeLuise got out was about, you would think that the animals.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? One of the best parts was such a Dom and Bert are up in the front seat driving at the very beginning. You just see him in the back, just like California.
Yeah.
He's just singing that. Every once in a while, they
He's
look
just in his own
they
world,
Look, they
man.
look back and they're like, "What's going on back here?" I was wondering the same thing. What is going on?
They were all in their
back
own world. There's like everybody's dropping quaaludes.
I just had to look him up. Like he looks
that?
like that.
He had like an
Yeah.
eye injury from
Yeah.
a kid or something like that. Got in a fight.
Yeah, like
or-
that's his
Yeah,
picture, the first picture that comes up.
Oh yeah, that wasn't a fake eye. That was his real
Wow.
eye.
He played it. He played it to part, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of face that you're typecast for certain kinds of movies.
But
You're not getting.
I'll
any
tell you what. I won't
you're
mind.
not-
I'll do all those roles.
You're not getting any leading actor roles with that face. You're just
No.
like
Yeah, but you know what? You're gonna get cast in a lot of different things.
Now you're going to get cast in a lot of like horror.
He could have been in the Goonies.
You're going to be the
He could have
murderer.
played.
Yeah.
He could have played
Sloth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which that's a movie he's never seen.
I've never seen all the way through. I've never sat and
Serious?
watched the entire movie.
I have seen. Wow. I've probably seen that 200 times.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw it twice in the theater.
Even with
I
the
saw it in the
cut
theater.
scenes put back in.
The cutscenes from back in, with the spinning of the PP.
And the well, no, that's in it anyway.
Oh, is that- they
but
keep
like
that
the
in there?
octopus that attacks
Oh, yeah.
them when they're in the water.
Yeah, that's-
and then
I love that
They talk
scene.
about it at the end, but you don't know why. And then when I saw the cutscenes,
That's
like,
cut.
oh,
That's a great
yeah.
scene, the octopus scene. I remember watching that scene.
Sorry.
Oh, now I want to see that.
Off topic.
I want to see that scene again.
Yeah.
No, it's off topic is what this.
Yeah.
We could have named this podcast.
Yeah.
Off topic.
You could have picked Goonies.
And well, you might get to that eventually, right?
That's 85. So
Yeah, we all have to live.
I'll get
like
on a
that.
treadmill tonight.
I mean, I'll probably still be here. It's
Yeah.
these two we're worried about. Now that's kiss of death. I'm jinxing
Yeah, you better
myself.
knock on the table.
When we get into work tomorrow, where's Jason? Like,
Ah, shit.
I knocked on wood, so he's
I
fine.
did too.
Good
This
thing I
is like-
filmed it.
Let's get to some scores.
Oh yeah.
What's
Not
up?
out of wood.
Do we want to do Brian and Christine's score first?
I got Tara's score and I got Michelle's score.
Should we do Brian and Christine's though, so they can't copy anybody?
Sure.
So I'll give you Christine's score.
Okay, what's Christine's score?
Christine's score is an 80.
That's good for Christine.
Wow, that's like I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Why?
She was so happy
good
to
way or
watch
bad
this
way?
movie.
In a good way. Like I thought she would have been one of those kind of like
No, she was looking forward to watching this. And I'm giving it an 87.
Wow, that's a Brian score there.
Yeah. That means it's a good movie. Dana.
Wow, 87. And that's going to be mine's just 5% higher than his at 92%. I love this movie. I watch this movie again whenever you want. I watched this movie actually a couple of years ago at the beginning of the pandemic, or as like some people like to call it, the plandemic. You know what I'm saying?
I've never heard that.
Me either. I've never heard that.
I think
You
it's
never
a
heard that one?
conspiracy theory.
No, but I like
thing.
it. It's great.
Oh, was it planned? The whole thing was planned? Is that the plandemic? Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Never heard that.
pandemic. Yeah, that's for all of our conspiracy theorists out there. Hit us up. But yeah, 92. I'm actually when I watch the sequel again, and I forget what the third one's called, but I would watch that as well.
I give this an
Michelle's
8.
score.
Oh, Michelle gives it a 75. I give it an 80 also. Not 82, 80 also. I like this movie a lot. I think I like the sequel better. And I haven't seen the sequel in a million years.
I
but
don't even remember
all
the
my
sequel.
memories of this movie were the sequel. So as things were happening, I'm like, oh, that must have happened in the sequel. Oh, that funny thing must have happened in the sequel. So I thought this was funny, but I think the sequel is better.
Not as funny as you were thinking.
I'm going to give this an 80. It's a good movie. I like it. Tara, you want to go first?
You want to
Dana?
give Tara and Dana's?
Tara gave it a negative 5.
That's great.
Somehow I think that like these ladies didn't watch this with the same
I
rosy
know
colored
Tara's-
glasses
So
that we
here's the
watched
thing.
it
Tara
with.
quit halfway through. You
We
said,
watched
right?
a couple weeks ago. We watched the first half hour, and then we had it pause, and she's like, "Yeah, go on without me." So today, as I was getting ready, blow drying my hair, right
You
before I
remembered
did,
that you had to watch
Tara's
the
like,
rest.
"Did you finish it?" And I was like, "No." The whole point, I did not. So I had to go downstairs. I had to walk, and now I'm blow drying my hair, and I have a lot of it. As I'm watching this, volume's up to 100, blow dryers in my ear. And then she came down and she's, because she has no choice but to hear it. And she was not happy. And then she's just,
So you've watched
rolling
this
her
movie
eyes.
one time and half of it was with a blow dryer in your ear.
yes,
Yeah,
because
see,
I didn't need to.
Your score is sus. I think like you can't
Okay,
like
at 20 minutes of it,
What's your
blow
score?
dryer for sure. So out of the 20 minutes, my score, and I will never watch this movie again. My score is a 50.
Will you watch the sequel?
Oh, that's not as bad as I would think.
yeah, I'm
No,
surprised you
because I didn't hate it.
Will you watch the sequel
No.
to come on this podcast?
I think we need to have you on
No.
for the
I didn't
podcast.
hate
we're inviting you on
Clockwork
for
Orange, but I
we're
gave it a
inviting you on for
45.
Cannonball Run 2.
Is that this year?
It'll be next year.
Next
Okay.
year.
Well, we'll see where we are next year. Okay.
50 is for you. I think that's a good score. I was
Yeah.
expecting a lot worse. When
I mean,
Tara, when I saw
yeah.
Michelle's score,
Honestly,
or
I was
Tara's
thinking
scored
30.
negative
I was
5,
thinking
I was like,
30.
uh-oh.
I was thinking she was coming at us with a 30. or
I really
something
don't
like
know
that.
if there's any movie that I would put that low.
You
'Cause,
laughed at
what
some
makes
parts, though, didn't you?
No, I rolled my eyes a lot.
Grease 2 is that low. Grease 2 is
like
below
I was
30.
constantly like, oh my god, really? Like seriously.
What did I hit with a low score? I hit something low.
I gave
There was a couple back to back.
I gave that horror movie. What was that horror movie?
Beastmasters. You guys both gave Beastmasters.
But that horror movie we watched with Kevin. What was that?
Slumber Party.
I think I gave that a 10.
I love that.
That thing was a piece of shit. I never want to watch that ever again.
I like that one.
It was fun.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I 50s. It was fine.
No, that's better than I thought she was going to give it.
Yeah. There was a lot of soup parts, but some of the things like that spinning police car really made me laugh because it was so stupid. And the dune buggies were so dumb. The way they went up that hill, I found it comical that it was that bad.
And that's exactly what it was, comical. Yeah.
Can you imagine if I watched this at like 1.5 speed, how fast that thing would have been spinning?
What's funny is I've been watching Chips a lot lately. There's a couple of incidents where they do that with the speeding up of vehicles spinning and even with their motorcycles always speeding up. But every single time the car takes off and then it's like they hop on their bikes, they do something, whatever, and they're doing all this shit. Then all of a sudden they're right behind them. I'm like, come on, man. At least let him catch up for a little bit. But I love Chips. It's been really good.
Well, you know, when you can always tell when they speed it up when you see the plant going like whipping back and forth.
Fun times. But do we know what we're having for our next podcast? Do we know?
It's either Smokey and the Bandit or Apocalypse Now, depending on who we get first, Kevin or Anthony.
I never saw either one of those movies.
Will you watch them for the podcast?
Well, I had wanted to watch. I originally picked Smokey and the Bandit because it was 1977, and I was like, oh, I'll do year I was born, whatever.
Should have picked Star Wars.
I don't really know if I want to watch it now. Isn't that another movie where it's just he's in a car driving around? Trying to get away from the police.
There's much more of a plot in Smokey and the Bandit.
There's more.
You got Jackie Gleason.
Much more
A truckload of beer.
Who's
Sally Field?
You got Sally Field. Okay. You got whatchamacallit? Jerry Reed. Yeah, and you got a big beagle.
Big and little.
Right, it's a beagle.
I was going to say Big Enos and Little Enos. No, what is it? Big Enos?
Yeah, Enos.
Big Enos and Little
There's
Enos.
a giant beagle. Has like their long ears. And
Basset Hound?
Basset
Flash.
Hound.
Oh, okay.
Basset Hound. That's it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Not a beagle. You should watch
Smokey
it.
the Bandit is better than Cannonball Run.
Okay.
Smokey and the Bandit is better than
I
Cannonball
saw
Run.
that on the Rotten Tomatoes score too. I saw.
Speaking of Rotten Tomatoes, the critics gave it a 29. The audience gives it a 61.
Wow.
Yeah, but the critic score makes sense. This is not going to be a critical darling.
Any comedy like this, even today, wouldn't get a good score.
Well, they don't make movies like this anymore.
No.
It would be great if they did. They don't make anything like
Every
this.
star would have been canceled.
This would be a.
I think if they remade this movie, I would probably watch it and like it better.
Oh my god!
Think about with the cast that they could get today. I mean, you get a bunch of like old stars.
I was just saying, get like the Talladega Night cast just for this movie.
We're going to kind of find out when History of the World Part 2 comes out. Can they do it? Can they take an old classic?
They can't fucking do it. No, they can't.
We'll see.
Come on.
Wait, are they redoing that?
They're doing like a
History of the World Part 2
show.
is coming out. Yeah.
Oh, who's in it?
Instead of making a movie, they're doing a
It
show.
looks like
That's a good idea.
Nick Kroll and
Nick
his
Kroll,
crew,
that kind of crew.
okay.
Those guys, maybe Amy Poehler. I don't know. Nick Kroll's great in The League, which you should watch.
He's great in The League, and he's also
I've
great
seen
as
some
the
of them.
douche on Parks and Rec. I love him on
And
Parks
Kroll
Rec.
Show.
Kroll Show was funny. Yeah.
Hey, I'm I forget his real name, but you probably know me as the douche. He's so slimy on Parks and Rec. It's
This
awesome.
has been a fun one. I really enjoyed it. Dana, you're always fun to have on. I'm hoping you'll be back on again soon.
Absolutely.
With a movie that
For
you
Smokey
like.
and the Bandit too.
movie
I mean,
that I like.
Cannonball Run too.
Or before then, because we got a lot of great 83 movies that you can choose from to come on anytime.
When she was 5.
And
so.
and if you're ever looking for us, we're on Spreaker. You can find us there, Google, Podcasts, Spotify, Google, everywhere. I'm the Jazoo on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy, AEgonzo1 on Twitter, AEgonzo1970 on Instagram. I don't think I'm on Spreaker. I don't know where to find that.
You don't have an account. There's
Is that
no account
Spreaker?
for Spreaker.
Is that
We're a
Spreaker.com?
Spreaker's just where we host. And I know you guys haven't been there because there's something on there that you would have made a comment about. And I'm Brian, Papa Bad Kitty.
Now we gotta look.
I'm Dana. Dana Caps on TikTok.